You know, living in America, sometimes there's a lot of propaganda that one can hear about how America is the greatest country in the world and how all the other people of other countries want to get into the United States.
Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
Not the greatest country in the world, Professor. That's my answer.
Students, that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom? Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom.
All right.
And yeah, you, sorority girl,
Just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day,
there's some things you should know. And one of them is, there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending.
And while it may be true that there are many people who would love to live in the United States, after 14 years living here in Korea and 17 years living abroad, I can say that seriously, it's not as many people as I once believed. I can honestly say that after living abroad for 17 years, the myth that America is the greatest country in the world where everyone wants to live just simply isn't as true as I once believed while living in the States. So in this video, I want to talk to you guys about 3 myths that I debunked while living abroad, especially while living in Korea for 14 years. I don't know where this myth came from, but in the United States, I'm sure a lot of you can attest to this, but there is this growing, or I don't want to say growing rumor, maybe it stopped, but there is this running rumor that Asians, or specifically maybe even Koreans, are weak people. The rumor doesn't specify that it's Koreans who are weak. The rumor specifies that Asians are weak people and that the United States is so much stronger than them, and that our culture is so much better than culture in Asia, and that the people who live in Asia are small, tiny, afraid, and they have this very infantile demeanor, or they have a very, juvenile demeanor. First of all, Asians are not weak. Asians are people. They're humans just like Americans. They have feelings, they go to work, they take care of their children, they marry, they eat food, they dance, they cry, they do everything that Americans do. There is nothing that makes Americans better than Asians. And there's nothing that makes Asians better than Americans. We're all humans. And I don't know where this rumor comes from, but I just knew it was there. Like it's pervasive. You can feel it everywhere in the United States where I was living, or even places that I visited in America. It's just the appearance that Asia has in the minds of Americans, at least from my perspective, from what I remember, what I felt, is that America was so much greater than Asia, and that all of the Asians, they were living in dire poverty. Yeah, their living circumstances weren't great, and that they just wanted to flood into the United States. So I grew up thinking that, okay, America is great. We have all of these things that all the other countries want. Never did I once believe that there are a lot of things that in general American society just don't live up to snuff. They're not up to standards here in Asia. But I seriously must say that living in Korea, the technology just on a daily basis, like the availability of things, like the convenience of life here destroys America. Well, it doesn't destroy America, the country. It destroys like day-to-day living in the United States. The availability of healthcare, availability of people being able to just go buy random snacks and just chilling out in free places littered around the city that promote healthy moods, that promote good health physically and mentally. America can't compare with, especially if we're talking about transportation. The Korean transportation in other countries I've been to, Japan, even Taiwan, just the transportation system in these places blow the transportation system out of the water in the United States. I say this often, and I'll continue to say it until it gets through to people who are watching, that I believe, in my honest opinion, after living in Korea, after living in Asia for 14 years, the overall happiness index of the people in Korea is much higher than it is in the United States. It's not just based on one particular aspect of Korean society. There's a multiplicity of reasons that leading to the happiness index of Koreans being higher than that of Americans, in my opinion, at least, for a fact that I am definitely happier living in Korea than I was living in the United States. And I think a lot of Koreans would be happier living here as well if they had the opportunity to go to America and live there for a while. They would come running running back to Korea. So a lot of Koreans do complain about sometimes they don't feel so free here in Korea, from what I've heard, and that if they go to America, they would feel like more free to express themselves. This may be true, it may not be true, but as far as like the overall happiness index, I believe that is much higher here in Korea and in Asia than it is in the United States. But I've seen a lot of videos recently on YouTube, and I've talked to a lot of my students and other people here in Korea, and they say that while they do like America, there's like a growing sentiment that America isn't the place that everyone is flocking to or wants to flock to any longer. A lot of people are happy living here in Korea. I travel to Mongolia or Kazakhstan or to other, countries here in Asia. A lot of people, they say, oh, I want to go to America, but it's not usually to live, it's to travel, it's to visit there. And only do I hear a few people mentioning how they want to actually move to America. It could be more. There could be a lot more people who want to live in America, but just from my experience, I don't hear people like raving about how America is this huge land of opportunity that they just want to flock to. They want to live forever, and then all of their problems will be solved. The next rumor that I want to talk about is rumor that all Asian women, even Koreans, want to marry Americans, specifically European Americans. And look, I'm not hating on anyone's ethnicity. I'm not hating on anyone's ability to get women or ability to get men. If you get the partner you want, more power to you. Francois is happy for you. I'm just saying that in America, there's this rumor, almost hit my head. There's this rumor that a lot of Asian women, they really want to date Americans, specifically Americans of European descent. Even when I lived in France, there was this rumor, and I'm not even French, and I could still feel and see this rumor. A lot of French conversations I would hear in passing would talk about, Asian women and how Asian women, they wanted to come to France, they wanted to, be with French men. Or sometimes you could hear some very not so kind or courteous comments about Asian women from French people, from French guys. And of course, this is not all French people. I'm not saying all French people do this or all Americans do this. It was just the rumor that Asian women are easier for Europeans or people of European descent to get than probably even Asian men. But living here in Korea and traveling around Asia for 14 years, I could see that it's true, but it's not true at the same time. Here in Korea, like honestly, I feel that there is a population of Korean women or even Korean men who want to date foreigners or who would like to date foreigners or who have no problem dating foreigners. Usually the rumor here in Korea is that they would want to date, people of European descent, which is no problem. It's their preference. They can do whatever they want. Smaller number of those women or men who would date foreigners, they would want to date, others like people of African descent or Central Asian descent or South Asian descent. But that's like a very small percentage of the population. I don't know the numbers per se, but I would say it's probably maybe 1%, maybe not even 1%, maybe less than 1%. Maybe 2%, I don't know. From like the rumors that you hear in America, you would hear that as soon as these foreign women would have the opportunity to date an American, they would jump at the opportunity, they would jump at the occasion. After living here, it's just not the case. Of course, you'll see it like sprinkled around here and there, but for the most part, no. This myth, I think I'll have to dispel it on my own. I remember there was this German soap detergent commercial, something that I showed my students. The commercial was depicting how German men were they were out working in the field, they were getting very dirty, and at the end of the video, there was this machine that collected all of the dirty clothes from the Germans. I guess the machine would clean the clothes and they would ship the clothes off to a place like Japan, and the Japanese women would buy these clothes from the vending machine and they would smell it, and when they smelled the clothes, they would have like this orgasmic expression on their face, like even these dirty clothes from the Europeans are making these Asian women feel a certain kind of way. This just isn't the case. Yes, there are going to be some Asian women and some Asian men who would like to date a foreigner, whose preference is to be with a foreigner, not like the rumor is in America where it's perpetuated that almost all Asian people want to be with foreigners, at least the rumors that I heard. The last rumor is that Asians live beneath Americans. And I don't mean like, physically beneath. I mean that their culture and society is, not as moral or not as developed as American society. From textbooks or, from television, from movies, from, media, things like this, you get the impression in the United States that, Asian countries, they need America. They need us to survive. Like their cultures, their societies would not stand if it was not for, or if it were not for American intervention. While it may be the case at one point in time here in Korea where this country did need American help, it doesn't mean that it continually needs American help in order to develop its own societal norms. Korean society, Korean culture functions very well independent of the American influence that has permeated society these days due to globalization and the proliferation of SNS or media, the internet, things like that. So it's like in America, sometimes when I was growing up, especially in high school, when I was learning about Asia, it seemed like from the textbooks that I read, that I was given, it was that Asia is this really isolated place, and America has to give so many resources to Asia, and that Asia, can't live, without America. And as I said before, this may be true or may have been true at one point in time. These days, I think Asia, especially Korea, is doing just fine on its own. I mean, apart from military assistance, there are a lot of things in Korean society and culture that are much more developed than the United States, especially the transportation system, the roads, the morals of the society where you can leave things around and people don't steal things from you. You don't have to worry about physical violence here so much. There are just so many different things here in Korean society that are a lot more advanced, in my opinion, than society is in America. I mean, the United States was saved, or I don't want to say saved, but it was helped by France during the American Revolutionary War. You don't see France constantly hanging that over America's head. Like, we helped you, we helped you, we helped you. Like, your society can't survive without us. I mean, you don't see that in America, so I don't understand like why there would be rumors like that which would persist in the United States about Asia needing America's help, but not only needing America's help for their societies to function, but constantly needing America's help. I don't know how this rumor got started, but it's definitely a myth and a big rumor that we experience in the United States. At least I experienced it in my community. So yeah, I'm done. Those are 3 myths that I experienced in the United States relating to Asia or even to Korea in general that I have definitely dispelled since living here in this continent and living here in Korea. So let me know if there are any myths or rumors about Asia in your countries that don't actually shine or put a very positive light on Asian culture or society, or makes Asia or Korea look inferior in the eyes of the people where the rumor is spread. As always, thanks a lot to my channel members, Coco Cook, Nagada, for helping me to make these wonderful videos around Korea and around the world. And as always, well, sunlight is bright. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Make sure you stay hydrated, love your loved ones like Francois loves you. And I'll see you in the next one, hopefully. Take care. Peace. Dang, that sunlight is bright.